Hi everyone, welcome back to another scrapbook layout video, and thank you for joining me again today. Right here I am showing you the sketch that I am using, and it is by Scrapbook Generation. It is one of the sketches from Allison Davidson's 6x6 2 paper pad class, and I know I've mentioned it before, but I absolutely love that class. You get so many sketches out of it. It's so worth the money. So the other thing I want to talk about this class, it is a 6x6 class, so the entire class just uses 6x6 paper pads, which is amazing. So if you didn't want to put the money out for a full 12x12 collection, or maybe you just wanted a little sampling of a collection and you only got the 6x6 paper pad, then this class will show you how to stretch that pad so far. But I am choosing to use the full 12x12 sheets, and part of that is because I know that the 6x6 patterns are smaller than the other patterns, and I wanted a bigger pattern. So I am going to use I think just one 12 or 6x6 piece, but the rest are 12x12. So don't feel like just because it's from the class calls for 6x6 size that you have to use that size. So I'm actually even going to change something around. So I have been wanting to use this pattern paper here, and in a little while, although you can kind of see it as I work along with this pattern paper, in a little while I will kind of move it around in the light just real quickly for you so that you can see it's got like glossy and glittery accents to it. And I've been really wanting to use, I actually love both sides of that pattern paper, and it kind of drives me crazy because I don't know which side I want to use more. But that's good. And I have really become one of those people that will use their pattern paper, even if it's the favorite. I do not save my pattern papers. I just feel like I would rather know that that pattern paper, that beautiful piece, is on a layout in a scrapbook somewhere than have it sitting on my shelf waiting for the perfect layout. To me, I don't save paper anymore. And so I encourage you to break out a piece of your favorite paper that you've been saving and get it used. And when you go back to look at that layout over and over again, you'll get to see that pattern paper again and again. And you'll be happy that you used it. So it took me a minute here. Oh, but what I was saying, instead of using two 6x6 pieces, I did cut that piece to 6x12, and I'm going to use that in place of the two 6x6. So make the sketch work for you. Just because it says calls for two different sizes of paper, if you want to use one solid one, use that one solid one and just add the two sizes together. Don't be afraid to go ahead and do that with your sketches. I really love how this goes. I'm trying to, since part of it will go on the right hand side and part of it will go on the left hand side, I'm just trying to make sure that they line up, the patterns, where I cut them. Sometimes I worry about that and sometimes I don't. Actually, quite a bit of this ends up getting cut up, so it probably wouldn't have mattered in the end, but I'm happy that I did it. So this, a lot of this, the other pattern paper, other than the one big 6x12 and the other piece, they were all from scraps from the past layouts I've done. So that was pretty neat as well. That's another good thing about the 6x6 class, is that you can use scraps just as easily as 6x6 papers. So I am going to mess up a little bit here. I had trouble, so I'm going to apologize too if I sound funky, or I have a cold right now. So of course I start getting back into making videos for you guys, and now I have a cold, right? But I'm really giving this a try because I want to get these videos up for you guys. So I hope I don't sound too horrible. I feel like I sound horrible, but sometimes we think we sound more horrible than what other people can hear, right? So anyways, I apologize for that, but I think my brain has been, when you get a cold and you're just not feeling very well, your brain gets a little foggy as well. I don't know if that's what was going on or if I was just really struggling, but with the photo mat size, I don't know if you saw a second ago that I cut this piece totally wrong, the blue paper that I mounted these photos on. But instead of tearing up the photos, which I started to do, I just decided to go ahead and stick them together, the blue piece behind the 1 4x6 photo. And once I did that, I honestly completely forgot. You can't even notice. I forgot that I did that at all. So, which I'm glad, because if I would have torn the photos back up off that piece and got another piece out, I probably wouldn't have been able to use this piece, at least not on the blue side, because it had all the torn up, so you saw the white from the inside of the paper, and et cetera, et cetera. So, yeah, so I went ahead and did that. Also, when I was gluing it down onto this piece of paper, because there is the glittery and shiny accents to it, I added a little bit of wet glue, just so you know, just so to help it stick down. And I got one of the new Nuvo Glue. It's not new. It's new to me. I don't think it's new on the market. However, I've seen people using it for a long time, and I've really been wanting to try it. And so I went ahead and I got one, and I really like it. I will leave a link below to this glue. So when I use the Tombo glue, I love my Tombo glue. I will never say I don't like my Tombo glue. But when I use that Tombo glue, I feel like I get really sticky fingers and hands all the time. And this glue doesn't seem to make as big of a mess. At least it didn't feel like it was, I didn't get it on my fingers. If I did, I didn't notice it. I don't know if it's because it has a thinner tip and so not as much comes out, maybe perhaps, or Tombo glue is just kind of, at least the mono multi-green packaged one, whatever that's called. Either way, I really like this Nuvo Glue. So if you've been thinking about trying it out, yeah, I would highly suggest it. And I, again, will leave a link below. So I'm going to go ahead and add these two. So these were both supposed to be 6x6, and they're just cut down to 3x6. But again, the purple one was a 6x6. I knew I wanted the smaller pattern, but that snowflake one was just a scrap from another layout. And I thought the snowflakes brought all the colors from the flowery snowflake big 6x12 piece that I used. So I really like how that brought all those colors over. And then I'm adding, they did have on their sketch a little strip. It didn't say anything about a little strip here though. So that also confused me as well. So I just cut a little 1/4-inch strip of that blue pattern paper. It looks like a solid, but it's more tone on tone. So I keep calling it a pattern paper. But I added that little blue strip there, and she has, of course, stitching and everything on her layout because Allison Davis is great at using stitching, which I originally thought perhaps I would use like my white pin and do faux stitching on the layout, but I ended up not doing that in the end. So now it comes to time to mount these two little photos. So on the sketch, it calls for two 2x2 photos, two 2x2 photos on this left-hand side. And on the sketch, they have them looking like Polaroids. And at first, I was not sure if I really wanted to do that, but I decided I would give it a try. So I cut down the paper, although I cut this paper to what the size said on the sketch, and it does not seem to be, I don't know, the bottom Polaroid part was way too big the way they had it. So I trimmed them both up, and I cut them both at the same time so that they would be the same distance underneath the photo, if that makes any sense. That way I wouldn't have to figure out measuring and all that stuff, because if you know me, I'm not good with numbers and I'm not good with measuring. And another little funny side note, I have to tell you, I'm going to add this foam tape on here, and it looks like a little smiley face. I almost showed that in the camera, but it kind of made me giggle a little bit when I was putting the foam tape on. So, but that brings me to that fact that I'm adding foam tape to this one photo. I know that I don't have, usually if I'm going to add foam tape behind a photo, I like to pick the main focal photos. That one is not one of the main focal photos. It's just because I like the cluster over there, and I thought I would give it a little bit of added interest. So, and I didn't pop up any of my other photos. And I started thinking, well, should I maybe not pop this one up because I didn't pop any of the other photos up? But you know what? I did it, and it works out in the end. So now what I'm looking for, they have, of course, the title here on the left side by these photos. And I wasn't sure, and I'm really, right now I'm looking for maybe different word, like this is the ephemera that I put on the cardstock sheets. I was looking for something to use, but what I really wanted to use was this. This is not 2x2, it's a little larger than 2x2, I believe, but I really liked this dashing in the snow. It has that sled on there, and I really wanted this to be my title. And I did think about pulling out, you know, different letter stickers and making my own title that said Dashing Through the Snow, but I just really liked this 2x2 card. But I also came again to the whole, do I want to cut up this pattern paper because I like it, or should I save it for something else? And I said to myself, no, I'm not going to save it. If I don't use it on here, fine. I will use it in another way. And so I cut it out, and I really actually end up liking it. The only thing about that is it does end up on the right hand side because the sled is facing to the left on that little card that's 2x2-ish. I didn't like the way it looked over on the left hand side because I felt like it drew your eye off of the page. So when you're putting clusters and different elements on your page, take a look at things like that and see which direction they are pointing your eye, because if they're pointing your eye off of the page, like if you were to put an arrow pointing off the page, then it doesn't bring your eye into the center of the page where all your photos are. And so that's just something to pay attention to. And so I ended up putting that sled on the right hand side because it faces to the left, so I feel like it pulls you to the left. And then I had that other little Winter Wonderland sticker, and I really was trying to use that which is under the fox now. And I'm really glad that I put that there. I'm going to struggle a little bit with that area underneath the photos that are the Polaroid-ish photos, but I will talk about that as I come along to it. So I put the Dashing Through the Snow down, and then I pulled out the Doodle Pops. And like I said, I normally don't buy the Doodle Pops, but this one just had all those cute little animals, and so I pulled those out, and that fox just fit perfectly above that Winter Wonderland between the photo and that white paper that I put down is not, it's just barely glued down. I just used a little bit of Tombo repositionable adhesive because that's where they have their journaling. And I knew that some of the stickers, you can see that some of the stickers I'm putting down in that cluster on it, were going to overlap it in a little bit of a way. So I decided to use this white paper temporarily, and then I could figure out my journaling permanently later. But I end up gluing it down here in just a moment because I figure, even if I do type up my journaling, I wasn't sure if I wanted to do journaling strips, type up my journaling, or handwrite my journaling at this point. The only thing I do wish is that I would have cut that journaling box, the white cardstock, down just a hair so that you would see more of that purple pattern paper that's underneath it. But oh well, it is what it is. So here is where I decide I want to glue these other things down, and so I just, whatever, I glued it down. This little part, I like this little speech bubble, I guess you would call it, but I wasn't sure about it, and then I'm going to cut it down thinking maybe if I made it more look like a word sticker that I would like it better, and I actually don't, and I wish that I wouldn't have done it. I wish I would have left it as the speech bubble, and oh well, it is what it is. So I pull out another speech bubble, a piece of ephemera, and I end up popping one of these up on foam tape, which I believe is the purple one, and then I add the speech bubble one down below it. And I don't like it as much as I did like it with just the purple speech bubble, but it is what it is now, right? So, but don't be afraid. That's another thing. Don't be afraid to cut down your ephemera pieces to work for what you need. Before I started watching YouTube so many, many years ago with all the scrapbook, when scrapbook process videos first became really popular, I would have never thought to cut down a piece of ephemera or cut one in half or anything like that to get it to work for you. And I remember just thinking, oh, that's such a good idea. Because, there's some pieces of ephemera that we just don't like, straight out. But if we cut it and make it work for what we want, maybe we'll still be able to use it. So that's another thing I strongly encourage you to do. The other thing that I really like on this layout are these trees. Now, when I first started adding the trees around, the sketch does have trees in a couple different spots on the layout, but not in the same spots that I put mine. I put the trees in each little cluster area, and I actually really liked the way they looked. I thought for sure that the colors would throw me off or something like that, but no, I was very happy with that. So I went ahead and I just started gluing things down. The clusters I know at this point are not complete and that I want to add more to them, but I just wanted to go ahead and start gluing things down because I was struggling to find more things to add in the clusters. So I figure if I start gluing everything down, that it's already there and I can't move it, so I don't need to move it around 500 more times, if that makes any sense. So I have a tree in each cluster. The other thing, I don't know if you noticed, but I got that owl. Yay, yay. I've done 2 layouts now so far, I think, with this collection. And I've been trying to use that owl on every layout, and this one, he fits just perfectly over on the right hand side by the dashing through the snow, the little 2x2 card. So here you will see, and I'm going to add him on there, and I'm so happy I got him used. So I still have more of him because I think there's an ephemera one and sticker sheet one of him, and I did think about adding another one with him, but I didn't want to push it, right? Too much of a good thing is not a good thing. So I got to this part, and I'm still thinking about my clusters. I'm not 100% crazy about my clusters at this point. This one down here was kind of an unplanned cluster when I was putting the layout together, and I'm just trying to add some snowflakes into each area. And I have, you know, a ton of snowflakes, obviously, with this collection. One of the things I really like about this collection is the sticker sheet, the 6x12 like cardstock stickers, I think they call them. There's so many stickers on there. There is simply a ton of stickers on there, and a lot of them are these teeny tiny sparkly little snowflakes. So I do use a few of those you will see me use in a few minutes here, and they really pull out the sparkliness that was in that pattern paper, so I really like that as well. And then I thought I would try some of these. So this was like an ephemera pack that came with nothing but snowflakes. And I put one down and I wasn't really sure, and I added another one and I still wasn't sure, and then I added another one, and so on and so on. And then finally I thought, you know what, this actually doesn't look too bad. It looks like snow everywhere, and it really grabs your attention into these clusters. And so I'm going to go ahead and glue all these down. I kind of, when I was making the layout, I was thinking to myself that we could call this, instead of a sticker sneeze, we could call this a snowflake sneeze. Because I do go a little crazy adding these snowflakes everywhere, but I think it looks okay. If you like it or not, I don't know. Some people might like how many snowflakes I put on there. Some people might not, but I don't know. I kind of like how it turned out. I did struggle with that bottom middle cluster because there wasn't as much white area. So you can see I'm adding all these snowflakes on here. They're the clear acetates they're the clear acetate snowflakes from that ephemera pack is what I'm using now that I'm gluing down, and I'm just using glue dots to glue them down. But there isn't as much white area down here in this middle section, middle cluster, and so I did struggle with what snowflakes to put around there, but it works out in the end. As far as I'm concerned, it's just a fun layout, and I don't care that there's a lot of snowflakes. First of all, I got them used up, and I think it just really looks cute. I don't know. So I'm just gluing, and a lot of them, or not a lot of them, I guess just a couple of them, but I do make sure, as you can see with that blue one I just glued down, to have a couple of them go off the page, because I feel like that really, you know, makes this continuousness to the page. And this one here I tucked under the pattern paper. So I'm also going to find a couple of pieces that I pulled off of, well, I didn't pull them off the layout, but one of the past layouts that I added all the snowflakes to, I cut some off the edges of the layout as well, and I come across the two. I didn't even know I saved them, but there's two like of the cut off pieces left over, and they're just teeny tiny pieces, but I went ahead and used those on the layout as well. So here's one that I just stuck underneath that dashing through the snow, and I think there's two. I thought there was two that I used, but maybe there's just the one. But either way, looks like there's a snowflake behind the dashing through the snow. So I also try to incorporate a couple different of the white acetate ones, because that way it still has a snowflake there, but because it's white, it blends in, so it's not as, it doesn't make it a super horrible snowflake sneeze. It just kind of makes it a snowflake sneeze. So here I am trimming it up, and I found those scissors actually when I was cleaning my room not long ago, and I was kind of excited about those. They did not cut the acetate snowflakes as well as my other ones probably would have, but I love those scissors. They're pretty good. So they're also Fiskars. And then the last thing that I thought about maybe doing here was taking these enamel shapes that are the snowflakes and putting one just in a couple of the acetate snowflakes. And so I tried it on the purple one. I tried this on another layout and I didn't like the way it looked, but I tried different colors on top of different colors. And this time when I did it, I tried tone on tone, so a purple on purple, blue on blue, and I didn't put one in every snowflake, just on some of them, and I really actually liked the way they looked. So after doing about 2 of them, I decided to go ahead and finish doing the rest. So I had to kind of fiddle with a couple of them because you could see a little bit of the white from the center of the snowflake, and I didn't want that. And now I'm just looking around. I did add that word phrase sticker. I think it says Winter Wonderland, which I just now realized that's what it says underneath the fox, but oh well, the layout's done. But I did add that on the center, kind of in the middle of the layout above the photos, just to pull some of that blue color up there because I felt like it was a little bit empty. So this is going to be my layout. I love the sketch. I love that I got 11 photos on this layout. And again, I take crazy amounts of snow photos, so we don't get snow here very often, so I take tons of photos. But I hope you guys like this layout. Thank you so much for watching. I'm sorry, I hope my voice doesn't sound too horrible, and I will see you guys next video. Thanks so much for watching. Bye!